Welcome back to Transform Yourself, the podcast where we dive into real-life practical weight loss strategies that actually work. We are your hosts, Kacy and Tyler. We use the 4 M's of fitness, mind shift, meal shift, micro habits, and muscle building to create attainable and sustainable weight loss. We've lost a collective 130 pounds. We've kept it off for 2 years. So whether you are a fitness enthusiast, a beginner, maybe you're just curious about making positive changes with your body, Transform Yourself is a go-to source for inspiration, information, and a good dose of motivation. And today we're talking about something that sneaks into your daily life.
Triggers. Eating cues sneak into your daily life. I think this is a much bigger issue than people probably give it credit for. I would imagine men especially, because I don't think men think about triggers like this.
I don't think women do either.
Okay.
Not the women.
Oh, really? Not
most of them that I talk to. They when I have a conversation about eating triggers, I see a lot of light bulbs go off. So these cues, the eating trigger cues that we're talking about, they're the triggers that have you reach for that slice of cake before you even knew you reached for it. They have you grab that bag of chips or, mindlessly eat, or possibly eat out of boredom or stress eat. And if any of that sounds familiar, you're in the right place, because I am going to break it down into 3 culprits. There are 3 eating cues that are triggers to overeating. So those 3 are social cues, external cues, and internal cues. And we're not just going to break it down into what those are, but I'm going to break it down into examples of those, how you can manage those, what strategies you can use so that you can stay on track and get to your health goal. And I think many of the examples that I give are going to resonate with you, and you're going to be, ooh, I didn't even know that was me. So
well, you think about things. It's just interesting because, I remember the first time someone brought this up to me was seeing a therapist actually, and talking about when you go into a Mexican restaurant, you kind of automatically want a margarita.
Oh, for sure. And queso.
You want
all
guac,
the things,
or you want this. Versus if you were to go into a Chinese restaurant and have a succulent Chinese dinner, you're not automatically going, "Where's the sake at? Let's do some sake bomb." It's not. There's a social component to that.
I don't know. I really love sake bombs when I was in my 20s.
Yeah, but you get what I'm saying is that you don't. I think people go out to eat Mexican food because they like a margarita.
Maybe. Is that a Texas thing, though?
That's also true.
That might just be a Texas thing. That might be an us thing.
Yeah, Tex-Mex is definitely a regional cuisine for us. So
all right,
that's true.
Let's start with social cues. So first up, have you ever noticed you're out with friends, you're out with family, and all of a sudden your eating habits change? And maybe it's because you're out with your girls, you're out with your bestie, and before you know it, you're exactly what we're talking about. 3 margaritas deep, you're sharing nachos like it's your very last meal, right? So social cues are the signals that we pick up on from the people around us, and it influences how much you eat. So I want you to ask yourself these questions. Are you more likely to eat around certain family members or friends? Is that true for you?
Of course it is.
Yeah. I mean, if my sisters and my mom and I, the 4 of us girls, get to giggling and having a great time, we're going to want a package of M&Ms to go with our giggles. Yeah. I mean, it's it's a social thing that the 4 of us do. Ask yourself, do you tend to overeat at parties or special occasions?
That's a hell yeah. It's
it's easy to do, right?
That's why I'm going.
You're going because you have a goal to overeat.
Yeah, I'm planning on feeling sick today. That's my goal today.
Okay.
But yeah, of course, that's a huge part of it.
Yeah. What about, do you mindlessly munch when you're conducting business over a meal?
Well, back to Tex-Mex again. You just have a bowl full of never-ending tortilla chips.
That's true.
Which is crazy when you think about, a tortilla chip is just a tortilla cut into fours
and fried.
Then you're like, oh my God, each chip is
we've all seen those
calories?
videos where they take 4 chips, put them together, and they make a circle, and they're like, look at that.
It's like
that's an entire tortilla.
It's like, how much is a corn tortilla? 90 calories?
It can be, around.
Yeah.
If it's not a low-cal one. I mean, the ones we have in our pantry are 25 calories each, but that's the street tacos.
That's not what I'm talking about.
I know it's not.
I'm talking about, regular-ass
corn tortillas.
Yeah.
So, made with masa harina. Oh, so good.
It is delicious.
All right. You give...
But at 25 calories a bite, essentially.
Right. And also think about this. Ask yourself, do you give in when you have a food pusher around? And that's a real thing. I mean, your mom might be like, oh, have this. I made it specially for you. I mean, how can you say no to your mom who made a special dish just for you?
Going to Grammy's house.
Right? Grammy might be mad if you don't have her pie.
Start plying you with cakes and pies and whatever else. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you go to a party and everybody's loading their plate with pizza, then typically you are going to do the same, even if you weren't that hungry. Why? Because the people around you are doing it, because we follow each other, right? You're at a family dinner. Your mom insists that you have that second helping, right? She made it just for you. Eat it. Or you're out to dinner with some girlfriends and one girl orders a dessert. Well, then bam, it starts the trend, and then everybody orders dessert, right? All it takes is one.
every woman at the table going, ooh, am I gonna be naughty tonight and eat dessert? yes, Jenny, just get it. Just get the volcano cake. It's fine. No one cares.
So you have to be able to manage your social cues. So what do you do in the social situations? So first you have to plan ahead. If you know that you're going out with the gals, if you know that you're going to dinner, then check the menu in advance and decide what you're going to order. And then don't open the menu. Because if you open the menu and you've already decided at home what you're going to order, and then you open the menu and start looking around, you're going to change your mind.
You're going to get mad.
And then you're going to be mad at your first decision.
Why am I ordering this chicken breast? I'd rather be eating this or... Yeah.
Yeah. And remind yourself that you're there. You didn't go because you were super excited about the chicken. You went because you wanted to hang out with your gal pals, right? You went to dinner because you wanted to hang out with some friends you haven't seen in a while. So remind yourself why you went in the first place, and it's to be social and enjoy that aspect of it. And second, you need to own your own goals. You don't have to make a big deal about it, but just be confident in your decision, because trust me, nobody's going to be offended if you pass up on dessert or if you opt for water instead of a cocktail. And if they are, that's their problem. That's not your problem. You can still be fun without sabotaging your progress, period. Practice responding to others when they offer unhealthy options. Practice saying no thank you, because no thank you is a complete sentence. The word no is a complete sentence, and you don't owe anybody an explanation of that. You can simply say no thank you. And you might have to say no thank you more than once to get your message across, especially if you have a food pusher sitting near you. But it's you that is in control. So when you're in a social scenario, because you will likely know when you're about to go out to dinner with friends or go to a party, then, or even at just a work event, then plan ahead and own your goals, own your own choices. The next type of cue is external cues. These are sneaky triggers that come from our environment. They come from things like food advertisements or...
Yeah, don't you ever sometimes see like a Burger King commercial? And I don't even like Burger King. But
when's the last time we've been to a Burger King? Ever.
It might have been like a decade since I've been to a Burger King, and there's one close to us.
There's one
that's very close.
It's almost walking distance, and
how motivated you are, anything can be walking distance.
True.
But
that is a good point.
But yeah, it's close, and we don't ever go.
But Burger King commercials don't do it for me. I'm trying to think of a commercial that does do it for me, although I don't really watch much commercial. I mean, the only commercials I see are the little kid toy commercials when we're watching a kid movie.
You have a cash settlement. You need cash now. J.G. Wentworth. 77 cash now. No. Does that even? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do not know what you're talking about.
I have a structured settlement, but okay.
But if somebody were to do a, I don't know, if I saw an advertisement for, you know what gets me?
I bet Chili's has good commercials.
I will tell you what it is, because I have to do research when I'm writing a cookbook. I have to have ideas, and where am I going to get ideas? I'm going to get ideas off Pinterest. I'm going to get them off of Instagram and TikTok, exactly where you get your ideas. I'm going to take somebody else's idea and I'm going to twist it into a lower calorie version of that thing. And so, yeah, watching reels on my phone of other people make food, that's a for sure trigger. I have to make sure I'm willing and ready to do that without being overly hungry when I do that. So yeah, I mean, it's normal though. It's normal if you are triggered by advertisements. It's normal if you are triggered at the smell of popcorn.
For real, popcorn is probably one of the biggest external cues, because you walk into a movie theater
and it smells like popcorn.
It smells like popcorn, and I bet you there's a lot of people. I mean, even for me, like I walk in and I have the thought. I'm like, do I want popcorn? You know, and I don't ever get it, but I have the thought.
Right. Of course. It looks good.
It smells good.
Yeah, we don't get it anymore. That's way too many calories. Go Google that. That's a bucket of popcorn at the movie theater.
And I don't even do the butter. I just do it. I just raw dog it. Yeah. That's good.
So it's normal if you are triggered by the sight or smell of food. So if that is the case, you have to be able to manage that, and you do have an environment of which you can manage, and the environment of which you can manage is your own house. So just keep that in mind. Maybe an environment that you cannot manage is your office space. I know, for example, the teacher's lounge was riddled with cupcakes and cookies and donuts and pizza and all of the good, all of the food.
It's the same way in the corporate world, where you walk in a break room or a conference room, and a good amount of days of the week, some vendor or someone's brought in donuts and dropping donuts or dropping breakfast tacos or something. It happen all the time, and you're just like, oh, boss, I'm not trying to do this, but man, I could go for a Krispy Kreme.
Right. Yeah. Well, so this is where you have the power to manage the external cues, because you have to be aware of the environment, right? So if you know that the teacher's lounge or the office
conference room,
break room, whatever it is, if you know that's where the donuts are, well, then you can choose to avoid that place. I remember being very conscious about avoiding even walking into the teacher's lounge, because it's a lot easier to avoid temptation than it is to resist temptation, right? And science backs that up, because the mere sight of food, the mere smell of food, that can activate your brain's reward system, and that makes it harder to say no. So don't even allow your brain's reward system to be activated by those sights and smells. Avoid the area at your office or workspace that has those things.
Yep. That's why I always like to remember is that we are opportunistic omnivores. It means we get hungry when we get a chance. Like if there's food, we want to eat. Like that's how we're built.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it is what it is.
We have to undo that training or that programming.
We have to undo the pattern, right?
Yeah.
And there are other patterns. Like, for example, if you sit down in the evening time to scroll TV, to watch Netflix, whatever it is you're doing, And immediately, as soon as you sit down to watch TV, you somehow feel like, oh, wait a minute, hold on. I need something to eat. Well, you've cued yourself. You've trained yourself that the TV means you must eat, which you can untrain yourself. This is called mindless eating.
I don't like this.
You don't like it because I'm thinking like shining a spotlight on yourself, right?
I do that, and I know better, but I definitely do this from time to time,
right? And it's called mindless eating. I don't know.
I really like the.
You like mindless eating?
Well, if I have an evening where I can go watch TV by myself, you know what, that makes it a little bit better.
I mean, I think it's just
I understand what you're saying.
Unwinding from the day kind of thing. The TV is might be great for your brain to unwind and not have to focus on all the stressors of work and all the other stressors that you have in your life. But the food that comes along with it. Now, really think about it. Is that food having any benefit if you're mindlessly eating it? It's not, because you're not enjoying it. You're not stopping to taste the food or smell the food, or you're not using your senses to enjoy the food because it's mindless. Yes, you're only consuming calories. That's it. So unless your food gives you the pleasure, which it should, then you've got to really think about, am I mindlessly eating?
Well, also, if you think about mindless eating, think about every time you've ever mindlessly ate. How many times was that, eating cucumbers in hummus? And how many times was it eating, barbecue Lays, potato chips? Or, I mean, there's a million examples. But you get what I'm saying. It always seems to be, it's not kale chips.
Right.
It's potato chips.
So what I might suggest then is, if that resonated with you, you're like, ooh, that's me. That is totally me. I sit in front of the TV and then I want a bag of popcorn or a bag of chips or a whole bag of anything, right? Please don't sit in front of the TV with a whole bag of anything. It is helpful to replace that behavior with doing something else with your hands. Find an activity that will keep your hands busy. If you want to learn to crochet or knit, do that. If you want to paint your nails, do that. If you just need a stress ball to squeeze, do that. Find something to keep yourself busy.
Okay. I'm going to start taking up crocheting, I suppose. Thank you for the great advice.
Well, I mean, I don't think you would enjoy that. No, but
you're getting socks for Christmas now.
Are you going to crochet me some socks? I can't wait.
It's not going to look good.
Create an environment for success in your own house. Keep the healthy snacks visible. Hide the junk food. Listen, we have food in our house that doesn't align with our goals because our kids eat it. Yes, I get it. We had to be the ones to drive to the grocery store and get that food. I am not fearful of giving my kids goldfish, but I definitely don't want to reach in the pantry and see goldfish in front of me every day. So the goldfish goes into an opaque container with a lid, and it is not looking me in the eye when I open the pantry.
Yeah.
Same thing with granola bars that the kids use for their school snacks or whatever it is. So we do have strategies in our own house because we don't want that food to trigger us. And it is so true that if the food is there, it is going to trigger you, because every single one of us has had a moment where we've stood in somebody's office with a candy bowl and we've grabbed a piece of candy. Everybody's done it. And it's because the candy was there. You didn't wake up in the morning thinking, ooh, I can't wait
to eat a stale,
right?
With
Hershey's Kiss.
Yeah, Hershey's. Well, I'm just trying to think of something.
I mean, I'm thinking of the bowls of candy that were in everybody's office at school.
Yeah. So,
right?
A peanut M&M from 1994. Like, this sounds delicious.
So, I mean, who has peanut M&Ms from 94.
Janice.
You know who,
Janice in accounting does, Kacy.
Janice in accounting.
Yeah. She sits in an office in a cubicle by herself. She doesn't get a lot of visitors, and Candidy's been there for a minute.
Okay.
It's like when chocolate gets like that little white coating on the outside.
Yeah, I do.
It's all of her chocolates that way.
Oh, yeah, it's melted and
it's
reformed.
also been sitting in another bag with non-chocolate candy.
And then
so everything tastes weird.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Gosh.
So there's just not
people who put chocolate candy with non-chocolate candy. I can't.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
That should be the PSA that we give for Halloween around the corner. Is like, if you mix Jolly Ranchers and chocolate, like you should be arrested.
I mean, the first thing we do when we get home with the candy buckets is we separate the chocolate
from the rest of it.
And then we eat some of the chocolate because we don't have it in the house.
We'll eat some of the chocolate. I don't care about a sweet tart. I would rather get beat up in an alleyway than eat sweet tarts.
Really?
Yeah.
Sweet tarts are pretty good. I don't know. I like them.
What is it? It's just sugar. It's sweet sugar.
I guess I like sugar. There is that. So. So a big obstacle to staying on track can also be the goodies in your own kitchen. If it's a box of cookies or a bag of chips that is calling you from the pantry, it can be really difficult to resist it. And so for so many people, not having those treats in your house, or at least not within view, is going to help you turn down the dial on your temptation of those foods. So either don't purchase it or put it in a place where it's not visible to you. It's out of sight. Because let's be real, if the ice cream is sitting in your freezer and you're having a really tough day, it's going down. So do your future self a favor and keep the freezer stocked with things like berries, frozen berries instead.
I like berries.
Number 3. I like turtles.
I like a berry.
Number 3, internal cues. So we covered social cues, we covered external cues, and here we are covering internal cues. And these are signals that your body sends you about your hunger and about your fullness and about your emotional state. And the problem is that many of us are very out of touch with these signals, and we cannot tell the difference between physical hunger and emotional hunger or boredom or stress. And here's the thing. There are 2 types of internal cues that cause us to eat inappropriately. And the 2 types of internal cues are either emotional driven or thought driven. And I know you're thinking, wait a minute, that's the same thing, right? But no.
What's the difference?
Let me break this down. So emotional driven means that you are experiencing negative emotions such as loneliness, anger, sadness, stress, anxiety, boredom, and it goes on and on and on. And in the absence of physical hunger, it's called emotional eating. So emotion is the most common internal cue for eating when you're not physically hungry. Are you self-medicating with food because you feel sad or you feel stressed? You're overwhelmed at work, so you don't know what to do, so you reach for the food. You are self-medicating with food.
Yeah, I've heard people say, and I've said, I've had a really stressful day. I'm gonna eat my feelings today.
Yeah. And before, for you, it was I had a really stressful day. I'm gonna have a beer.
I'm gonna drink 9 beers tonight.
Right.
I'm gonna drink 9 beers and you're gonna yell at me. So
yeah, that was our before self. And, so is your motivation to eat healthy reduced if you are tired? I mean,
absolutely, yeah.
Decision fatigue. Let's think about it.
You don't, unless you have, so here's the flip side. Oh, you're tired. You're looking in your fridge. You're looking for something easy. Well, if you got cut up apples or got strawberries that are already cut up, or you got whatever, string cheese, you got meat, lean meat, you're going to grab that.
Convenient food. Make your convenient food healthy.
Yeah. versus,
are you eating absent-mindedly? That goes back to the mindless, the standing in front of the pantry aimless, right? If you're standing in front of the pantry aimless, you really need to stop and ask yourself, wait a minute. Am I physically hungry?
I do this all the time.
You do. I see you do it. I watch you do it.
Almost every day. And what do? I go and I stare.
And then you close the door and then you walk away. It's true. I see him do it. Here's the funny thing, y'all. I work in the kitchen, clearly. So many times. It happened today, I think. And it happened yesterday. It happens almost every day where you get up from your office because you're feeling an emotion of some kind.
Well, or I might just be
bored.
Maybe not bored, but just ready to take a break.
Yes, you need a break. Well, because you're overwhelmed, anxiety, whatever it is. And you stand in front of the pantry and you open the door and I watch you do it and you close the door and you walk away. But the good news is that you've learned to close the door. You learn to stop yourself and be aware. Yeah. It's funny to watch it happen.
I know, because I also get kind of mad.
Why do you get mad?
Well, because I want something and then realize I shouldn't have something. Because I'm like, I'm over here looking for a snack. And then I have to walk away without a snack. And I'm...
Because you realize you're not physically hungry?
Yeah, the little gremlin that lives inside you, like, he was mad.
Yeah.
Because he wanted to eat. But I was like, no, not today, sir.
No. Okay. I like it. So you're being aware of your emotional eating.
Yes, trying to be. It's not easy.
I like it. So that would be your emotional driven. But then there's also times when you might eat because it is thought driven. So this is different than emotional driven, because thought driven means you're telling yourself stories. You're telling yourself things like, I deserve this. I had such a hard day. I deserve this. Or I've been good all week, so I'm going to have XYZ, right? It's funny how humans will eat what they consider good all week, and then reward themselves with a food that does not align with their goals.
And throw it all away.
And right. And we
throw all their progress away.
It's funny how it happens all the time. I see women do it.
I do it. I'm sure that I still have. I'm sure I've done it.
Or you tell yourself, I can't waste this food. Like I can't just throw it away. That was me. That was 100% me.
That way too.
It took me until about 3 years ago to learn how to throw food away. And I try not to be wasteful. I really do. I try to make sure sometimes when I cook a lot of food that I'm making a cookbook, I will give it to neighbors, or I will, have it as after school snacks, the food that I'm making, instead of the typical after school snack that the kids get. So, but there are times when I just make a decision like this food cannot stay here and we're going to throw the rest out.
Yeah.
And that is that. So you can either, what is the saying? You can either waste it or you can waste it. Spelled waste, W-A-S-T-E, or W-A-I-S-T.
It makes sense.
You can either waste it or you can have it add to your waste. Exactly. There's other things like, who cares? I've already had this. I might as well have XYZ.
All or nothing thinking?
The all or nothing thinking. Yeah. So all these thoughts, those are thought driven.
Yeah.
Not necessarily emotion driven. A lot of times your thoughts are driven by emotions, but either way, your internal cues are driven by both emotions and thoughts. So how are we going to manage this? The best way to manage it is kind of the same as the others. You have to be aware. A great way to be aware is to keep a journal of your emotions in order to become aware regarding your eating patterns. So do you find yourself habitually reaching for certain foods when you are stressed at work? Oh, there's a pattern there? Okay, well, now that you're aware, you're more than likely to do something about that pattern to help change that pattern. But you have to be aware of the pattern first. So keeping a journal is a great strategy for that. Develop positive self-talk. Another great strategy. It's important to stay focused on what it is we want most. It's important to stay focused on thinking positively about our weight loss journey and really paying attention to the small wins that we have, and knowing that we are determined individuals who will see progress if we stay the course. So develop that positive self-talk, write some of that down, write some of the mantras down, and read them. And if defeating thoughts creep into your mind, refer to a list of goals that maybe you've written down in your journal. Remind yourself of the mantras that you've written on sticky notes, and remind yourself that you are capable of success. If you have fallen into a downward spiral of emotional eating, binge eating, any of that, there is a 5D method. I don't know. We might do a whole another podcast on this, but the 5Ds is to delay. So set a timer. Might be 5 minutes. It might be 10 minutes. Delay.
See if you still want it in 10 minutes?
That's right.
Okay.
Distract yourself is the second D, with something that does not involve food. The third D is distance yourself from the food that you're craving. Go to another room, go on a walk, do something, go somewhere. Get out of the house if you need to. The fourth D is determine. But what are we determining? We're determining the answers to questions like, is indulging in this how's that going to make me feel long term? Is this going to contribute to my success long term? That's what you're determining. And then the fifth D is decide. Decide, are you going to indulge in whatever it was that you wanted because of an emotion or because of a thought? And here's the deal. If you decide that you are going to eat it, how much of it are you going to eat? Decide that. Where are you going to eat it? Decide that. How fast are you going to eat it? Decide that. But make a decision. So those 5 Ds, delay, distract, distance, determine, and decide, might help if you find yourself in a spiral of emotional eating or eating based on stories or thoughts you're telling yourself. So that is it. That wraps it up. The 3 types of eating cues that rule all of our behaviors around eating, social, external, and internal cues, is what rules our behaviors around food. And understanding these cues and managing them, you can take control of your eating habits. And in turn, you're taking control of your weight loss journey. Because awareness is power. And the more you pay attention to these cues, the easier it is to stay on track and make choices that support your goals. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Transform Yourself. I hope that today's episode has helped you become more mindful of the eating cues in your life. If you've enjoyed this episode, share it with a friend. Leave me a review. I want you to stay strong, stay committed, and remember that you are capable of an incredible transformation.
Adios.